How long back did people actually believe in zombies? Well, it turns out much longer ago than you thought. People have been afraid of the undead rising once again and wreaking havoc upon the living for thousands of years. Different outbreaks throughout time have ravaged different places across the world, creating apocalyptic scenarios. From caveman zombies to zombies created with voodoo, here are zombies throughout history. American Eye is taking a break from slaying zombies to bring you this video. But first, quick shout out goes to Facta Mackin, who was one of the first to leave us a comment on our Strange NASA Projects video. It turns out American Eye is indeed 100% American born and bred. Remember to hit the notification bell and leave us an early comment for your chance to get featured. Number 11. Zombies of the Stone Age. Have you ever wondered what the deal was with gravestones? Was there an actual purpose behind it, like to keep zombies from rising from the grave possibly? The tradition of putting stones over tombs dates back to the Stone Age, and it was during this period of time where we see a great effort to keep the unliving and the living separated for good. The New Grange burial site in New Grange, Ireland, for example, is found in County Meath in Ireland and is one of the oldest tombs ever discovered. This was built before the pyramids and Stonehenge and is at least 5,000 years old. The circular mound measures 250 feet across and 40 feet high. The New Grange monument is mainly a large mound built with alternating soil and rocks with grass on the top. The tomb entrance stretches about 60 feet or so, 1/3 of the mound. It still remains unclear where exactly the deceased were laid to rest at this location. Traditions in other cultures would seem to show some fear of zombies, where traditions were performed to make it impossible for zombies to rise again. Number 10. The Epic of Gilgamesh. Possibly the first written record of zombies in literature dates back to the times of Mesopotamia. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's a passage which talks about an evil man named Ishtar who threatens to make the unliving living once again and devour humans. He also wanted the zombies to outnumber humans, which is typically how a zombie apocalypse would go. Some would assume that in context, Ishtar was actually referring to the spirits and not physical zombies. In any case though, the Epic of Gilgamesh shows that zombies could be used against the people as a weapon in case someone decides the population on Earth is getting a little bit too high. Number 9. Ancient Egyptian zombies. Still unclear if the zombie apocalypse is capable of happening? Well, just ask the ancient Egyptians if this was all a hoax. One website posted an article titled "The Zombie Attack at Hierakonpolis." There appeared to be an outbreak of solanum, which is commonly referred to in the Zombie Survival Guide. Once this infects the brain, it wipes the brain of all of its personality, mercy, individuality, and makes people want to bite each other. Due to the wound marks found on many skeletons in the city, it would suggest that it was no ordinary confrontation, and in addition, many tombs were found with scratch marks coming from the inside. Other mummies were found with no head, and this was likely done to be completely sure that the zombie was done for. Evidence would suggest that roughly 4% of the population of the city was running around like a bunch of ravenous zombies. They were able to find some skulls of the zombies and determine that the virus was indeed there, and hopefully it won't spread again. Number 8. Ancient Greek zombies. Due to this discovery, it's believed that even the ancient Greeks feared zombies rising from the dead and possibly feasting on brains. Archaeologists claim to have unearthed a tomb from an ancient Greek colony in Sicily near Camarina. It looks like they used to use rocks to pin people to their tombs. Greeks often exhibited necrophobia, or fear of the dead, especially that one day it would rise again and prey upon the living. This illustration of what's known as Tomb 653 shows a body that was weighed down with large pieces of amphora, which is placed on his face and legs. Another skeleton was found and shows as much as 5 rocks placed on top of the body in order to keep it from rising once again. Number 7. The Noon Toter. If you're kind of a germaphobe, you might not want to hear about this next one from Germany. The Black Plague devastated Europe and other places and was the closest thing to a zombie apocalypse that we've ever seen before. This creature would rise from the dead 9 days after being buried. It would be covered in horrific diseases that would spread very rapidly and was basically like a walking biological weapon. The plague would terrorize little German towns, and people claimed it would appear often during the Black Plague that struck Europe. The wounds are oozing with pus and horrifying scabs. Normally, when people saw this thing, they'd run as far away as possible. But if you got too close, it certainly had no problem with taking a bite out of someone and drinking their blood. It pretty much sounds like some kind of contaminated zombie that you really want to watch out for. The legends most likely came when Germany was suffering from pestilence to keep children away from sick people. Or could some of those ill people have been mistaken for dead and buried anyways? Did they rise up from the ground and attack people in anger? Number 6. The Jogger. Could you imagine having to fight off zombie Vikings? It certainly seems like it would be challenging. The Jogger comes from medieval Norse mythology, and the word Jogger roughly translates to, again, walker. They're basically someone who's able to escape from the grave. The Joggers possess superhuman strength upon resurrection and are recognizable by their horrid stench of decay. They were described as hideous to look at, swollen to the size of an ox, and would protect the treasure that they were buried with no matter what. Once they were able to walk again, they would simply wreak havoc upon anyone who wronged them during their lifetime. They would then slay people in numerous ways and eat their flesh. Some of them would be immune to weapons, and only a worthy hero would be able to put them in their place. In order to prevent Jogger chaos among the villages, certain precautions were needed. This included tying their big toes together and carrying them feet first through a special door so they couldn't return through the main entrance. Number 5. Cholera. During the cholera epidemic of Mexico during the late 19th century, it was difficult to tell who was still alive and who wasn't. Hoping to restrict the spread of cholera, many were buried shortly after expiring. This woman here was one of the unfortunate few who were buried alive by accident. When she was exhumed, they found her body lying face up and scratch marks on the coffin. Her agonizing moments were left gasping for air. They could have at least buried her with a bell or something, right? There are 59 of these naturally preserved mummies on display at the Museo de los Mamias in the city of Guanajuato, Mexico. In any case, due to the strange symptoms of cholera, something known as a safety coffin was invented, which allows someone to ring a bell if they're inside and still awake. Some suggest the origin of the term "saved by the bell" has its origins with this device. Some accidental ringing, though, was certainly known to cause some panic. Number 4. Civil War Zombies. Imagine soldiers charging at you that were glowing in the dark like a bunch of vicious zombies. Glow-in-the-dark wounds were one of these medical mysteries. In spring of 1862, General Grant began charging his men deep into the enemy territory along the Tennessee River. The Battle of Shiloh took place, leaving many men wounded. The fighting went on late into the night. Doctors began to notice people lying on the ground that were actually glowing. Soldiers at this time were quite prone to infections, and it's believed that the reason that they glowed in the dark was from a luminescent bacteria that flourished near the Tennessee River. Strangely enough, the ones with the glow-in-the-dark wounds survived longer, and the soldiers thought an angel had saved them. Number 3. Leprosy Outbreak, Hawaii. One of the oldest diseases in recorded history is of course leprosy, and it seems like this would really be one of the most zombie-like diseases out there. People with leprosy often exhibit decaying flesh or rotting skin, just like a zombie. Recorded cases go back 4,000 years ago in places like China, India, Egypt, and sub-Saharan Africa. In 1893, a coup d'etat took place against the Queen of Hawaii in an effort to cause chaos. Many speculate that Chinese laborers with leprosy were actually used in an effort to cause panic and spread disease. During this period of time, the best way to protect yourself would have been to wear a primitive hazmat suit like we see here. Sugar plantation owners were trying to get Hawaii to be a state, but native Hawaiians wanted to remain independent. So in order to scare them, they used the Chinese zombies as a tool to cause chaos and ultimately make Hawaii a state. Keep that in mind if the zombie apocalypse were to break out in Greenland or something. Number 2. Frankenstein. Possibly the most famous zombie of all time, Frankenstein was a creation of a mad scientist who created a zombie made from different body parts found in graveyards. While this might sound implausible, scientists have performed head transplants of various animals. In any case, Victor Frankenstein creates the monster and selects features that he would find to be beautiful. However, once it comes to life, he can tell that he created something hideous and is frightened by what he made. Eventually, the creature escapes into the mountains, where he eventually runs into the mad scientist again. He demands that Victor creates a second zombie whom he could be happy with, since he has trouble making friends due to his frightening appearance. The Frankenstein novel would help the popularity of zombies grow ever since. It still gives us a reminder that scientists can go a little bit too far when it comes to playing God in a sense. But before we get to our number 1, let us know in the comments section if you think any moments in history where zombies might have existed. Leave us a good answer and maybe you'll get featured in an upcoming video. And number 1, Clervius Narcisse. A story about a Haitian man, Clervius Narcisse was declared dead for 18 years by 2 doctors, but was found to be wandering around a village. How is this possible? He was apparently given a mix of tetrodotoxin from a pufferfish and buffotoxin from a toad. Voodoo practitioners could theoretically cause someone to die and be brought back to life with a different toxin. If this seems like a bunch of baloney to you, this photo here shows a law that explains how it's illegal to poison people and make them behave like zombies. Could the Haitians have really understood a way to make the dead rise once again, or temporarily kill someone? There is still much we don't know about neurotoxins, and they can affect our brains to act violently.
Alright, do you guys feel like you're more ready for the zombie apocalypse now? Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.